The rock and the sea. The sun rises over the Mediterranean, painting Mount Benacantil in a gold so deep it looks like a massive bullion bar forgotten by some ancient titan. This rock is not just a pile of stone, it is Alicante's ultimate fixed asset, a natural skyscraper that stood here long before Dubai even dreamed of the Burj Khalifa. If cities had LinkedIn profiles, Alicante's headshot would definitely be this mountain. It is a silent sentinel that has seen it all, from Phoenician trading galleys to modern cruise ships the size of floating zip codes. Thousands of years ago, people figured out the first rule of business: location is everything. The Romans called this place Lucentum, which translates to City of Light. That was world-class naming and branding centuries before marketing agencies existed. Light here isn't just a weather report, it's the primary export. With 300 days of sunshine a year, Alicante has a business model that makes Northern Europe envious. While residents in London or Berlin are investing in heavy umbrellas and vitamin D supplements, local entrepreneurs are simply selling access to the sky. Alicante has never tried to be overly serious or pompous like Madrid, nor does it play the game of intellectual complexity like Barcelona. It's more like that successful guy in a linen shirt who conducts multi-million-dollar meetings in flip-flops on a terrace, yet somehow out-earns everyone wearing a tie. The city is a hub where paths cross, blending cultures as masterfully as a barista layers a café bombon. Looking down from the Santa Barbara Castle, you notice a fascinating contrast. The old quarters with their chaotic alleys where laundry dries in the breeze and the scent of fried fish lingers sit right next to sleek glass offices. It looks as if someone decided to mix the set of a medieval movie with the Silicon Valley campus. This is Alicante's secret sauce. It has learned to turn its climate into liquid capital. When the global tourism boom ignited in the 1960s, the city didn't just open its doors, it engineered a hospitality machine with the precision of a Swiss watch. This marked the pivot from trading salt and wine to trading experiences. For Alicante, tourism is what software is to Microsoft, the core product that undergoes constant updates. The city realized that while sunshine is a free resource, the service built around it is what people pay a premium for. That ancient rock, Santa Barbara, continues to watch the eras shift. It saw fishing huts grow into grand hotels and dusty docks transform into marinas, hosting yachts worth more than the annual budget of a small nation. This is a place where history doesn't obstruct the future. It serves as a foundation, anchored deep into a cliff that still remembers the rhythmic march of Roman legions. The scent of salt and trade. In the part of Alicante, the air smells like a mixture of sea salt, expensive sunblock, and high-stakes logistics. For centuries, this harbor has been the city's primary engine, the literal loading dock for its economy. While today it looks like a playground for white yachts, it started as a gritty, hard-working gateway that sent wine, olive oil, and salt to the corners of the known world. In the 18th century, Alicante was granted the right to trade directly with the Americas, which was the historical equivalent of a local startup suddenly getting a direct line to the NASDAQ. It changed everything overnight. The port shaped the DNA of the people here. They became comfortable with foreign languages, various currencies, and the new. In Alicante, business was never a dry exchange of papers. It was built around relationships, trust, and the ability to read a person's character over a meal. This is the Mediterranean soft power. But don't let the relaxed vibe fool you. Behind the scenes, the port operates with a discipline that would make a German logistics manager nod in approval. It handles millions of tons of cargo and welcomes cruise ships that are essentially floating cities, all while maintaining the grace of a seaside promenade. Today's port is a masterclass in urban recycling. Instead of letting old industrial docks decay, Alicante turned them into a hybrid space. You have tech companies operating out of renovated warehouses and restaurants where the catch of the day traveled less than a mile from the boat to your plate. It's an ecosystem where the old blue economy of fishing meets the new white-collar economy of services and leisure. Think of the port as the city's lobby. It's the first thing many high-net-worth investors see when they arrive by sea. If the Santa Barbara Fortress is the city's history, the port is its pulse. It's a place that proves you don't have to choose between being a commercial powerhouse and a beautiful destination. You can move containers of marble by morning and sip a cold drink at a yacht club by sunset. It's a 24/7 operation that never feels like work, which is perhaps the greatest business trick Alicante ever pulled off.
The Esplanada is the 6 million pieces of branding. If you want to understand the soul of Alicante's business philosophy, you have to look down at your feet. The Esplanada de España is a promenade made of 6 million marble mosaic tiles, creating a wave pattern in red, blue, and white. It is, quite literally, the world's most expensive carpet. If a modern city tried to pitch this to a budget committee today, it would be laughed out of the room. 6 million hand-laid tiles for a sidewalk? But Alicante knew something that luxury brands like Hermes or Rolex have known for a century. The vibe is the product. This walkway is the city's LinkedIn feed and its town square rolled into one. It's where the concept of the paseo, the evening stroll, becomes a social currency. For decades, this was where the city's power brokers met. Decisions about real estate, shipping, and politics weren't made in stuffy boardrooms. They were made while walking over these marble waves, shaded by 4 rows of palm trees. It's a masterclass in urban psychological design. It forces you to slow down. And when people slow down, they notice shops. They sit in cafes, and they spend money. The Esplanada is also a bridge between the grit of the port and the elegance of the city. It acts as a massive waiting room for the Mediterranean. In the world of urban planning, this is what we call a destination space. It's the reason why, despite the rise of massive air-conditioned malls, the heart of Alicante remains outdoors. It proves that if you build something beautiful and iconic enough, the economy will naturally grow around it like moss on a stone. It's not just a path, it's a 6 million piece statement that says, we value the quality of life and we're willing to pay for it. The scent of saffron and strategy. If the Esplanada is the city's lobby, the Mercado Central is its engine room. This isn't your typical supermarket with fluorescent lights and plastic-wrapped soulless fruit. This is a cathedral of commerce built in 1912. The moment you walk in, you're hit with a sensory overload. The briny scent of fresh sea bass, the earthy aroma of local tomatoes, and the sharp, expensive fragrance of saffron. The Central Market is a perfect case study in supply chain management. Every morning at 4 a.m., a silent ballet happens. Fish caught just hours ago in the Mediterranean and vegetables picked at dawn from the nearby Huerta are delivered with a precision that would impress Amazon's logistics team. There are no out-of-stock signs here. If it's in the sea or the soil, it's on the counter. But the market is also a lesson in the art of the deal. The vendors here are some of the sharpest negotiators you'll ever meet. They don't just sell you a kilo of shrimp, they sell you the story of where they were caught. This is the experience economy in its rawest form. For a local restaurant owner, the relationship with their market vendor is more important than their relationship with their bank. It's a B2B ecosystem built on decades of handshake agreements. In recent years, the market has adapted to the 21st century. Alongside traditional butchers, you now find high-end gourmet bars where tech entrepreneurs sit next to retirees, both eating the same world-class ham. It's a place where the old money of the land meets the new money of the digital age.
The market reminds us that no matter how much we automate our lives, the most fundamental business, feeding people, is still best done with a smile, a bit of haggling, and the freshest ingredients on the planet.
The gateway to the clouds. If you want to see the exact moment Alicante transformed from a sleepy fishing port into a global powerhouse, you have to look at 1967. That was the year the El Altet Airport, now known as Alicante Elche Miguel Hernández Airport, opened its runways. Before that, getting to Alicante was a commitment. Afterward, it became an impulse. In the business world, we call this removing friction. If the barrier to entry is a 10-hour train ride, you have a local boutique. If the barrier is a 2-hour low-cost flight, you have a global franchise. Today, this airport handles over 15 million passengers a year. To put that in perspective, that's like moving the entire population of London and Madrid through a single building every 12 months. It is the 5th busiest airport in Spain, but unlike Madrid's Barajas, which is a corporate labyrinth of suits and briefcases, Alicante's airport is the world's happiest logistics hub. It's a place where the out-of-office auto-reply becomes a physical reality. But the airport is more than just tarmac and duty-free shops. It's a sophisticated data center. The management monitors flight patterns from Manchester, Oslo, and Algiers like a hedge fund manager monitors stock tickers. When a new route opens from Scandinavia, the local economy reacts instantly. Real estate agencies hire Swedish speakers, and restaurants add oatmeal to their breakfast menus. This is just-in-time economic adaptation. The airport also serves as a giant filter for the second-home economy. It's the reason why a lawyer from Brussels can decide on a Friday morning to have lunch in Alicante and be back for a Monday meeting. It has turned the city into a suburb of Northern Europe. In the 1980s, an airport was a luxury. Today, for Alicante, it is a life support system. It's the terminal that proves geography is no longer destiny. Connectivity is. And while Heathrow or JFK might be more famous, few airports in the world can claim they single-handedly rebranded an entire coastline from a remote shore to a must-have lifestyle.
The caffeine boardroom. In London or New York, coffee is a fuel, a high-octane liquid used to survive a 9 a.m. meeting. You grab it in a paper cup, your name is misspelled on the side, and you drink it while walking fast enough to break a sweat. In Alicante, however, coffee is a strategy. If you see a group of people sitting at a small round table on a sun-drenched terrace at 11 a.m., don't assume they are on vacation. You are looking at a boardroom in its most efficient form. The morning coffee break, or El Café, is where the real smart contracts of the city are signed. In this culture, trying to close a deal in a cold, fluorescent-lit office is considered bad manners and bad business. The locals have mastered the art of soft networking. It's a process that looks like a casual chat about the weather or the local football team, but beneath the surface, it's a sophisticated vetting process. They aren't checking your pitch deck, they are checking your character. The drink of choice here is often the café bombon, a shot of intense espresso layered over thick, sweet, condensed milk. It's a perfect metaphor for the city's economy, bitter, strong tradition at the bottom, topped with a smooth, modern sweetness. It's heavy, it's high energy, and it's surprisingly addictive. This terrace economy is why Alicante has avoided the burnout culture seen in places like Tokyo or Frankfurt. In those cities, you work to live. Here, the work is integrated into the living. It's a low-pressure environment that produces high-pressure results. A developer might meet an architect over a cortado, and by the time the spoons hit the saucers, a new luxury villa complex has been conceptualized. In a world obsessed with Zoom calls and digital project management tools, Alicante reminds us that the most powerful communication technology ever invented is still a table for two, a gentle breeze,
and a shared caffeine habit. It's the original social network, and it has a 100% uptime record.
Masters of the soul. If you think Alicante is only about tourism and sunbathing, you haven't looked at the feet of the people walking down Fifth Avenue in New York or the Ginza in Tokyo. Just a short drive from the city center lies an industrial powerhouse that functions as the shoemaker to the stars. This region, particularly the axis between Alicante and its neighbor Elche, is where the leather gets cut, the heels get set, and the fashion world's most secrets are kept. For decades, this area has been the silent partner for some of the world's most prestigious luxury brands. While Italy often gets the marketing glory, Alicante's factories provide the craftsmanship. It's a bit like the relationship between an Oscar-winning actor and their stunt double. The actor gets the applause, but the double does the heavy lifting. This isn't just manufacturing, it's an obsession passed down through generations. In Elche, there are more shoes produced per square meter than almost anywhere else on the planet. The business model here is a masterclass in the industrial district concept. Instead of one massive, soul-crushing megafactory, you have a network of specialized workshops. One family specializes in soles, another in stitching, and another in luxury finishes. It's a decentralized production line that functions with the agility of a tech startup. When a trend hits TikTok on a Tuesday, these factories can pivot their production by Thursday. It's fast fashion quality with old world soul. But being a silent partner wasn't enough. In recent years, local brands have stepped into the spotlight, proving that Alicante can build its own global empires. Names like Picolinos or Panama Jack have become international symbols of quality. They don't just sell footwear, they sell the Mediterranean lifestyle, rugged, comfortable, and effortlessly stylish. This industry is the backbone that keeps the region stable when the tourism season dips. It's a reminder that Alicante isn't just a pretty face in a travel brochure. It's a city with dirt under its fingernails and leather dust on its clothes. It proves that even in a digital world, there is still immense value in the tactile, the physical, and the perfectly crafted pair of heels.
The white gold. If the shoe industry is the region's muscle, then the production of Turron, Spanish nougat, is its heart, especially when the holidays approach. Just north of Alicante lies the town of Gijona, a place that smells like toasted almonds and warm honey. This isn't just a local snack, it is white gold. In the business world, we often talk about seasonal peaks, but the Turron industry takes this to the extreme. They have turned a traditional Arabic recipe into a global export that dominates the European Christmas market like Santa Claus on a sugar high. The business model of Turron is a fascinating study in Protected Designation of Origin, PDO. Just as champagne must come from France, authentic Turron de Alicante must come from here. This is a legal fortress that protects the local economy from cheap imitations. It's a masterclass in scarcity marketing. By maintaining strict quality standards and a specific geographical tie, they have ensured that their product remains a premium item on shelves from London to Mexico City. But what's truly impressive is how these family-owned businesses scaled up. They didn't just stay in grandmother's kitchen. They invested in massive industrial tech that can process millions of almonds while keeping that handmade texture. They've also diversified. Realizing that selling a product only in December is a risky strategy, they've pivoted into Turron-flavored ice creams, liqueurs, and even cosmetics. It's a lesson in maximum asset utilization, taking one core flavor profile and squeezing every possible euro out of it. In an era of ultra-processed, laboratory-grown snacks, Alicante's Turron remains stubbornly real. It's made of almonds, honey, and egg whites. It's a clean label product before that was even a marketing buzzword.
This industry proves that you don't need a Silicon Valley lab to create a viral product. Sometimes you just need a 1,000-year-old recipe, a very strong brand protection, and the ability to make the whole world crave a piece of your history every December.
Vineyards on the sand. In the world of wine, branding is often everything. For a long time, the vineyards around Alicante were the ghostwriters of the wine industry. They produced massive quantities of high-quality grapes that were sold in bulk to other regions, who then put their own fancy labels on the bottles and took all the credit. It was a classic low-margin, high-volume trap. But recently, Alicante's winemakers decided to stop being the background actors and started their own Marvel Cinematic Universe of wine. The star of this show is the Monastrell grape. It's a rugged, sun-toughed grape that thrives in conditions that would kill a delicate French Pinot Noir. The business pivot here has been spectacular. Local wineries, known as bodegas, stopped competing on price and started competing on story. They realized that in the modern market, people don't just buy fermented grape juice, they buy terroir. They buy the idea of vines growing in salty sea air and limestone soil. One of their most premium assets is Fondillon. This is a wine so rare and historic that it was reportedly a favorite of King Louis XIV of France. It's aged for at least 10 years, making it the long-term investment of the beverage world. In an age of instant gratification and fast-moving consumer goods, Fondillon is the slow-burn asset. It's the Rolex of the cellar. It doesn't care about quarterly reports. It cares about decades. This shift to the Alicante DO, designation of origin, brand, is a lesson in value-added strategy. By bottling their own history, the local producers have seen their margins skyrocket. They've turned dusty fields into wine tourism destinations, where visitors pay for the experience of walking the land before buying a bottle. It's a reminder that even if you have a commodity, you can turn it into a luxury good if you have the courage to put your own name on the label and tell a story that people can taste.
The magic of fire. In most business sectors, burning your capital is a phrase that keeps CEOs awake at night. In Alicante, during the month of June, it is the official strategy. The festival of Hogueras de San Juan is a massive economic spectacle where the city spends millions of euros to build hundreds of towering, intricate, satirical monuments out of wood and cork, only to set them all on fire in a single night. From a distance, it looks like a beautiful act of madness. From a business perspective, it's a brilliant, high-yield investment in the city's brand. Think of Hogueras as Alicante's Super Bowl and Carnival of Venice combined. The ROI, or return on investment, doesn't come from the physical statues, which vanish in smoke, but from the massive influx of capital. For 1 week, the city's population triples. Hotels hit 100% occupancy. Restaurants turn tables faster than a high-frequency trading algorithm. And the local retail sector sees a spike that rivals Christmas. It's a masterclass in event-based economics. The production of these monuments is an industry in itself. Specialized artists and engineers work all year in massive warehouses to create these structures, which can be as tall as a 5-story building. This is the artisanal economy at scale. These creators are essentially the creative directors of a week-long citywide pop-up museum. They blend traditional craftsmanship with modern 3D modeling and structural engineering. But the real genius of the festival is how it builds social capital. Each neighborhood has its own commission, a micro-organization that functions like a local chamber of commerce. Residents contribute monthly fees all year round. This creates a hyper-local crowdfunding model that ensures the festival is too big to fail. By the time the crema, the Great Burning, happens on the night of June 24th, the city hasn't just lost its statues, it has gained a global audience, millions in fresh revenue, and a strengthened community bond.
It's the ultimate proof that sometimes to build a future, you have to be willing to set your past on fire and make sure the whole world is watching the glow.
The Mushroom Street, a lesson in creative disruption. If you were to walk down Calle San Francisco 20 years ago, you would have seen a street in economic cardiac arrest. It was a place of shuttered shops, dark corners, and a reputation that kept tourists far away. It was a distressed asset in the heart of the city. But instead of pouring millions into complex bureaucratic redevelopment plans or high-tech surveillance, the city government did something brilliantly absurd. They planted giant psychedelic mushrooms. Known today as the Mushroom Street, this stretch of pavement was transformed into a fairy tale landscape with yellow and green sidewalks and massive cartoon statues. At first, the critics were loud. "It's childish," they said. "It's a waste of taxpayer money," they argued. But the critics forgot the golden rule of the modern economy. Attention is currency. Almost overnight, the street became the most photographed spot in Alicante. In the age of Instagram and TikTok, this was like striking oil. Families started walking there to take photos, and where there are families with cameras, there is a need for ice cream, coffee, and souvenirs. Small businesses that had been closed for years suddenly reopened. New boutiques moved in. Rent prices stabilized and then climbed. The mushroom effect turned a liability into a high-performing asset. This is a masterclass in tactical urbanism. It proves that sometimes the solution to a complex economic problem isn't more data, it's more imagination. By creating a visual hook, the city forced people to change their route. It broke the old patterns of movement. Today, Calle San Francisco is a vibrant commercial artery, proving that a bit of paint and some weird art can be more effective than a decade of traditional marketing. It's a reminder to every entrepreneur. If your business is struggling, maybe you don't need a new spreadsheet. Maybe you just need to plant some mushrooms.
The siesta strategy, efficiency in silence. To an outsider from London, New York, or Tokyo, the sight of a city shutting down its metal shutters at 2 p.m. looks like an economic disaster. How can you make money if the doors are locked, they ask. But in Alicante, the siesta is not an act of laziness. It is a sophisticated biological and business recalibration. It is the original deep work strategy, practiced long before productivity gurus started writing books about it. Think of the siesta as a scheduled reboot for a high-performance server. Between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., the Mediterranean sun is not a friend. It is a hostile environment. Trying to conduct high-stakes commerce in 35-degree heat is like trying to run a marathon in a sauna. Your decision-making degrades, your energy evaporates, and your output becomes low quality. By closing shop, the city is essentially saying, we refuse to do mediocre work in the heat. But here's the business secret. The siesta isn't a stop button, it's a shift button. Because the city rests in the afternoon, it can afford to be vibrant and commercially active until 10 or 11 p.m. While a shopkeeper in Paris or Berlin is exhausted and heading home by 7 p.m., the entrepreneur in Alicante is just starting their second peak of the day. They have traded the unproductive, sweaty hours of the afternoon for the high-energy, high-spending hours of the evening. It's a classic time arbitrage play. In recent years, the rise of remote work has given the siesta a new life. Digital nomads are discovering that the split shift, working early, resting, or swimming during the heat and finishing in the cool evening, actually leads to higher creativity. It's a hedge against burnout. The siesta proves that in business, constant movement is not the same as progress. Sometimes the most profitable thing you can do for your bottom line is to close the curtains, turn off the phone, and let the city's rhythm take over. It's a 2,000-year-old hack for a 21st century problem.
The second oil, the real estate engine.
If you look at the skyline of the Costa Blanca, you won't see oil rigs, but for the economy of Alicante, the crane is the ultimate symbol of wealth. Construction and real estate are the region's second oil. But unlike Texas or the North Sea, the resource here isn't buried underground. It's the view of the horizon. In Alicante, every square meter with a glimpse of the blue Mediterranean is a high-yield financial instrument. The business of property here has evolved far beyond just selling vacation homes. It has become a sophisticated global market. In the 1990s, the buyers were mostly locals or retirees looking for a quiet spot. Today, the market looks more like a global stock exchange. You have investors from London, Warsaw, and Dubai competing for the same penthouse. Why? Because in a world of volatile crypto and unpredictable stock markets, sun and stone feel like a safe haven. It's a hedge against inflation that you can actually live in. The real genius of Alicante's real estate model is its resale liquidity. Because the city has 300 days of sun and a massive international airport, a property here isn't just a building, it's a liquid asset. If you buy an apartment in a remote mountain village, you might wait years to sell it. In Alicante, if the price is right, you can exit your position in weeks. This liquidity attracts institutional capital, investment funds and professional flippers who see the city as a giant sun-drenched spreadsheet. But this boom has also forced the industry to innovate. We are seeing a shift from volume to value. Developers are no longer just building blocks of flats, they're building lifestyle ecosystems with co-working spaces, sustainable energy, and high-speed fiber optics. They realized that their customer is no longer just a tourist, it's a global citizen who might be running a hedge fund from their balcony. The crane might be a sign of construction, but in Alicante, it's a sign that the world is still betting on the Mediterranean dream.
Digital nomads, the new gold rush. For decades, the tourist was someone who came for 2 weeks, got a sunburn, bought a plastic donkey, and left. But a few years ago, a new species arrived in Alicante, the digital nomad. These aren't tourists, they are high-value human capital. They carry MacBook Pros instead of beach balls, and their most important requirement isn't the proximity to a bar, it's the stability of the Wi-Fi. In the business of city branding, Alicante has realized that attracting one software engineer for 6 months is worth more than 20 tourists for 6 days. This is a massive brain gain for the local economy. When a developer from Berlin or a designer from Oslo decides to spend the winter in Alicante, they aren't just spending money on rent and tapas. They are injecting global perspectives into the local ecosystem. They frequent specialty coffee shops, they rent co-working spaces, and they demand high-end services. This has triggered a gentrification of services where the city is leveling up its infrastructure to meet the standards of a global tech hub. Alicante has played this perfectly. While other cities were trying to ban short-term rentals, Alicante started marketing its lifestyle per euro ratio. Why pay $4,000 for a cramped studio in San Francisco or London when for a fraction of that you can have a sea-view apartment, world-class healthcare, and a commute that consists of a 5-minute walk to the beach? It's a geo-arbitrage play that makes sense for both the individual and the city. The rise of the nomad has also forced local businesses to pivot. Traditional cafes are becoming hybrid spaces, offering power outlets and quiet zones. It's an economy of presence rather than visiting. These nomads are the new invisible residents, a floating population that keeps the city's economy humming even in the traditionally quiet months of November and February. They prove that in the 21st century, the most valuable thing a city can export isn't goods or services. It's the environment where people want to create them. The hotel machine. High-tech hospitality.
If you think running a hotel in Alicante is just about fluffing pillows and handing out room keys, you're looking at the industry through a vintage lens. In the modern era, an Alicante hotel is a sophisticated data processing plant that happens to have beds. This is the yield management Olympics. Every morning, hotel managers here look at heat maps of global travel trends, adjusting prices in real time like stock traders. If a rainy forecast hits London or a strike shuts down an airport in Paris, the algorithms in Alicante's hotels react within seconds. The business model has shifted from selling rooms to maximizing RevPAR, revenue per available room. It's a ruthless game of efficiency. But here's the clever part. While the back end is all cold data and automation, the front end must remain warm, Mediterranean, and human. It's high-tech meets high-touch. The city's hotels have mastered the art of invisible service, where everything you need is there before you ask, powered by a logistical chain that rivals a military operation. We are also seeing the death of the one-size-fits-all hotel. The market has fragmented into specialized niches. You have adults-only boutique hotels for the high-spending couple, family resorts that function like supervised micro-cities, and now workation hubs designed specifically for the people we discussed in the last chapter. This is market segmentation at its finest. They aren't just selling a place to sleep, they are selling a curated social circle. Even the architecture of these hotels is changing. New developments in Alicante are focusing on circular economy principles, using desalinated water, solar-powered cooling, and zero plastic policies. Why? Because the modern traveler, especially the high net worth one, considers sustainability a premium feature. In Alicante, being green isn't just a moral choice, it's a competitive advantage in a crowded marketplace. The hotel machine never stops, and its ability to reinvent itself every season is exactly why the city remains at the top of the global must-visit list.
Tabarca, the economy of scarcity. If you want to see a business model based on absolute scarcity, you have to take a boat. 11 miles off the coast of Alicante lies Tabarca, the smallest permanently inhabited island in Spain. It is a tiny speck of land with a massive economic lesson. When you have very little of something, every bit of it becomes incredibly valuable. In the 18th century, Tabarca was a fortified base to fight off pirates. Today, it's a protected marine reserve where the pirates have been replaced by day trippers seeking the ultimate luxury in a crowded world, space and silence. Tabarca is a closed-system economy. Everything that arrives on the island, from fresh water to the beer in the restaurants, must be shipped in by boat. This logistical challenge makes the island a high-margin environment. When you eat a caldero, the island's signature fish stew, at a seaside table, you aren't just paying for the ingredients, you are paying for the complex supply chain that brought that table to the middle of the Mediterranean. It is a masterclass in value-based pricing. People don't complain about the prices because they understand the effort required to provide the service. But the real asset of Tabarca isn't the restaurants, it's the water. As the first marine reserve in Spain, the island has turned doing nothing into a profitable venture. By banning heavy fishing and industrial activity, they allowed the biodiversity to explode. Now, this ecological capital attracts thousands of snorkelers and divers who pay for the privilege of seeing a healthy ocean. It proves that sometimes the most profitable way to use a natural resource is to protect it rather than extract it. The island also manages its brand identity through strict preservation. There are no high-rise hotels or neon signs here. The old stone walls and the dust of the streets are part of the product. Tabarca is the limited edition version of Alicante.
It reminds us that in a world of mass production and infinite options, the thing people will always pay the most for is an experience that feels rare, authentic, and slightly difficult to reach. It's the VIP lounge of the Mediterranean, accessible to anyone with a boat ticket, but belonging to an era that feels 1,000 years away.
The Mediterranean Hollywood. In the business of storytelling, lighting is everything. And as we established, Alicante's lighting is world-class. This led to one of the most ambitious industrial projects in the city's history, Ciudad de la Luz, or the City of Light. This is one of the largest and most technologically advanced film studios in Europe. It was built on the premise that if you combine Hollywood-level infrastructure with 300 days of natural sun and the blue backdrop of the Mediterranean, the world's biggest directors will come knocking. For years, this massive complex, featuring some of the largest water tanks for filming sea scenes in the world, was a sleeping giant. But recently, it has roared back to life, attracting global streaming giants like Netflix and Amazon. The business logic here is simple: production outsourcing. It is much cheaper for a studio to fly a crew to Alicante, where the weather is predictable and the costs are lower, than to build a fake seaside in a gray London studio. But the studio is more than just sound stages. It's an economic multiplier. When a major production moves into town, it's like a mid-sized corporation landing at the airport. They hire local caterers, local carpenters, local extras, and fill hundreds of hotel rooms during the off-season. This is the service economy on steroids. It has created a specialized workforce in the city, people who know how to build a Roman temple on Tuesday and a futuristic Mars colony by Friday. Alicante is betting on the creative economy to diversify its portfolio. By positioning itself as a cinematic hub, it's moving away from being just a beach destination and becoming a production destination. It proves that the city's natural assets, its light and its landscape, can be sold in more ways than one. In the City of Light, the product isn't just the sun. It's the ability to capture that sun on 35mm film and export it to every screen on the planet. The Vault of Ideas. In the world of global business, if you don't own the idea, you don't own the profit. This is why Alicante is home to one of the most important institutions in the European Union, the EU IPO, European Union Intellectual Property Office. Think of it as the Fort Knox of grands. Every trademark and design that protects a company across all 27 EU nations, from the curve of an iPhone to the logo of a luxury fashion house, is managed right here, overlooking the Mediterranean. Having the EU IPO in Alicante is a massive anchor tenant strategy. It brings thousands of high-salaried international lawyers, tech experts, and civil servants to the city. These are people who don't follow the tourist seasons. They buy homes, eat in restaurants on Tuesdays, and demand high-end services year-round. It has created a professional services halo effect. Because the office is here, law firms and consulting agencies have opened branches nearby, turning a seaside town into a serious legal hub. But Alicante didn't stop at being a bureaucratic landlord. The city used this momentum to launch Alicante Futura, a strategic plan to build its own Silicon Valley under the palms. They're inviting startups specializing in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and blue tech, maritime innovation, to set up shop. The pitch is simple: work where the laws are made and where the lifestyle keeps your developers from quitting. This shift to a knowledge economy is the ultimate hedge against any future crisis. While hotels might empty during a pandemic, the protection of intellectual property and the development of software never stop. Alicante is proving that a city can have beauty and brains. It's no longer just a place to spend your money, it's a place to protect your brand and build the future of tech.
By hosting the vault of Europe's ideas, Alicante has secured its own place as a vital organ in the continent's economic body.
The high-speed pulse and the ivory tower. In the traditional world of business, distance was a cost. If you were 4 hours away from the capital, you were in the provinces. But in 2013, Alicante performed a feat of economic magic. It brought Madrid, a city of 6 million people, to its doorstep. The arrival of the AVE, Spain's high-speed rail, turned a 400-kilometer journey into a comfortable 2-hour commute. Suddenly, Alicante wasn't just a coastal city, it became Madrid's beach. This is the infrastructure multiplier in action. On a Friday afternoon, the trains are packed with investors, executives, and entrepreneurs who treat the journey like a mobile office. This connectivity has fundamentally changed the real estate and service markets. You can live in the sun of Alicante and have a board meeting in the center of Madrid by lunchtime. It's a hybrid life model that has skyrocketed the city's appeal for high-level professionals. But while the trains bring the old money and suits, the University of Alicante provides the fuel for the future. Built on a former military airfield, the campus is one of the most beautiful and modern in Europe. This is the city's R&D lab. With over 30,000 students, the university ensures that Alicante has a constant supply of fresh talent. This isn't just about degrees, it's about a specialized workforce trained in everything from marine biology to AI and tourism management. The university functions as a startup incubator. It bridges the gap between academic theory and market reality. When a tech company looks at Alicante, they don't just see palm trees, they see a pipeline of young, multilingual graduates ready to scale a business. By combining the speed of the AVE with the brains of the university, Alicante has created a unique city loop. It attracts the wealthy and the experienced from the capital, while simultaneously growing its own world-class experts at home. It's a balanced portfolio that most modern cities can only dream of.
The alchemy of water. In business, the most dangerous threat is a single point of failure. For Alicante, that threat was always water. This is a region that looks like California, but has even less rain. In the past, a long drought could have bankrupted the city's agriculture and halted its tourism. But instead of praying for rain, Alicante turned to industrial alchemy. It became a global leader in desalination and water management, proving that if you can't find a resource, you must engineer it. The city's water cycle is managed with a level of precision that would make a Swiss watchmaker jealous. Alicante uses a closed-loop philosophy. The desalination plants take Mediterranean seawater and turn it into high-quality drinking water, ensuring that the city's growth is never throttled by the weather. But the real genius is what happens after the water goes down the drain. Over 70% of the city's wastewater is treated and reused to irrigate parks and golf courses. This is circular economy in its purest form, turning waste back into an asset. This technological mastery has become a knowledge export. The experts who manage Alicante's water now consult for cities all over the world that are facing climate challenges. It's a classic pivot. Alicante solved its own problem so well that the solution itself became a product. They even built the Museum of Water inside old stone wells, turning a utility into a cultural landmark. For an investor, this infrastructure is the ultimate risk mitigation. Knowing that a city has a guaranteed tech-driven water supply, even in a changing climate, makes long-term real estate and industrial investments much safer. Alicante proves that a desert doesn't have to be a barrier. It can be a laboratory for innovation. By mastering the drop, they've secured the future of the entire oceanfront economy.